In life, whales are pretty docile, they're pretty chill and just kind of leave humans alone. However, in death, whales turn into literal ticking time bombs. Hello! Welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and on the internet, you're one of two people. You're either the person who has never seen the infamous news broadcast of an exploding whale, or you have seen the infamous news broadcast of an exploding whale. Either way, today we'll be exploring this further and finding out why whales are so dangerous once they die. Now, when a whale normally dies in the ocean, it takes on a new life of its own and plays an integral part of the ocean's ecosystem. This is an absolutely fascinating topic and it's probably a video all of its own, and I'd love to discuss this one day. But that's not why we're here today. We are talking about the alternative of what happens if a whale dies on land. So let's have a hypothetical. We've got ourselves a nice whale bobbing along the water, and unfortunately it beaches itself on land and, unable to get back to the ocean, dies after some time. Yes, I know this is a pretty sad state of affairs, but it's pretty important for the context of this video. Plus, this is actually a pretty common occurrence due to their size, and without the buoyancy of the water, their weight simply crushes their organs. Whales aren't made for land, okay? And yes, there are of course the times where humans have been able to save a beached whale, they manage to drag them back into the sea, but that's not always possible. Mainly because it's a whale we're talking about, and if we're talking about a big whale, that's going to be pretty hard to move. Our whale pretty much kippers it and dies by being beached on land. And a few animals might come to have a pick at it, but generally its body is left there to decompose, just laying on the beach. And such is the course of nature. When any animal dies on land, it will probably just decompose if it's not consumed by another animal. However, the whale is a little bit different because the whale turns into a ticking time bomb. If a whale is beached, the process of decomposition begins. Methane and other gases accumulate inside the body of the whale. As the organs break down, these gases accumulate. But with the whale's thick skin and blubber, there is nowhere for this gas to escape to, leading to a pressure buildup. Now, these things are pretty big, as you can imagine, so it does take quite some time for this process to happen. But unbeknownst to anyone on the outside, who knows how long this process has been going on for, meaning that if you see a beached whale on the beach, it could be in a state where it is very, very close to capacity. The whole whale possibly blowing up phenomenon is a concern in itself, but what makes this even more difficult is the fact that if a whale is beached, it is quite a local interest to people. People will come out and have a look because they want to see a whale close up, or it's rife for scientific study. As well, I mean, you can't deny it, a whale is a fascinating sight, but it's not quite as fascinating when it might suddenly blow up in your face at any moment. Like I said, this whole process does take some time, so it's not immediately noticeable if this whale is ready to burst. Plus, there's also the fact that if there's a carcass left out in the open for so long, it probably stinks quite bad. So if you're going to look at it, maybe do it from a safe distance. So, as a result of this, a lot of local authorities and communities actually preemptively take steps to blow up the whale instead, to ensure that nobody can be caught off guard if a whale does indeed unexpectedly blow up. And that's where the famous video of the beached whale comes in, where a local community decided to fill up a beached whale with 20 cases of dynamite. The plan was to blow it up in such a way so that the carcass would be blown back into the sea. With the vast majority of the whale being disintegrated in the explosion, if there was any large chunks left as a result, then seagulls and crabs would finish the job and clean up the beach. Other options were considered, such as cutting it up or even just burying the carcass, but as you might imagine, that probably doesn't solve all the problems and someone might come and dig it back up. So they decided the best thing to do was simply to blow it back into the sea and let nature take its course. As the reporter in the video asks, what does one do with a 45-foot, 8-ton dead whale on a beach? Simple. You blow it up. Bloody hell, that's one big explosion, and as you might see, the fallout was pretty spectacular as well. Spectators were evacuated from the Oregon State Beach due to the fallen chunks of whale blubber and the horrendous smell caused by the fact that they'd just blown up a massive decaying whale, chunks of whale fell all over, including in a car park, smashing into a car a quarter of a mile away, which, if anyone was in the car, would have likely instantly killed them. Thankfully, no one was seriously injured in this, but it does go to show that it's a pretty spectacular sight and it's not something that happens every day. And the worst part of all was that the majority of the carcass was still intact, meaning that the scavengers couldn't just simply pick it apart, and even if they could, the explosion had pretty much scared away all of the seagulls from the area anyway, meaning that there was nothing around to finish the job. Meaning that after all of this, they had to still arrange to bury the whale on the beach to get rid of the body once and for all. Scientists and marine biologists sometimes get over this by, instead of sticking dynamite inside the whale, they might make a small slit or incision to allow some of the gas to escape from the whale. But again, this is also a pretty dangerous thing to do. Mainly because all of this built-up gas escaping out of a single incision is probably like pushing tons of air through a bottleneck, which is probably going to be an explosion in itself. And of course, this is an act which must be done with great care and precision. And when I say great care and precision, what they basically do is stick a knife on the end of a pole, poke the whale from a distance to make sure that the unfortunate soul that has to do this job isn't caught in the crossfire of exploding whale blubber. The reporter present on the scene for the event, Larry Bacon, has since commented on the infamous event, and he said the following. "It was an exciting day for me because I was a new reporter for the Register Guard. I had probably worked there for about a month, and it was an exciting story. They were going to remove it like it was a big boulder on the highway. They were going to blow the whale to pieces, out towards the sea, and the fish and the seagulls would eat most of it. All of a sudden, there was this 100-foot geyser of blood, blubber, and sand going up into the sky. It was like a blubber snowstorm with tiny particles of blubber floating down after the big chunks." Lovely scenes, and as a matter of fact, this event is so well known and so well recognised. The actual beach that this event occurred on actually had the name changed. It was aptly named the Exploding Whale Memorial Park, which is pretty fitting given what we've just seen, and like we said, it's a pretty memorable event. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. Countries of the world, hear me out. Instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on technology and research for bomb development, why not just use dead exploding whales? I mean, you could probably drop a carcass on a city and it'll do some pretty serious damage. Who knows? Just something to think about. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.
Thank you.